Hello and welcome to today's episode of Conquer the Day. Today, we get to interview and reconnect and connect you to a dear friend and previous client of ours. Fun fact, we were also a client of hers as well, which is going to be a great intro to this conversation about being able to be a giver, to be able to be at the peak level of hospitality and excellence. Today, we are sitting down with Laurie McGuire, who is a top producing and absolutely incredible real estate agent in Dallas, Texas. Laurie has been in sales far before she was in real estate, and there's been a beautiful transformation that I can't wait for her to share. But she's been in sales 17 years prior to really stepping into real estate. And she was in VP of sales, retail, advertising, so many different positions of leadership in different companies across the United States. Prior to that, she was in nursing. She's always been an absolute lover of people, which truly is why we want to have her on this podcast, because she is the best at her craft. If anybody ever asked us who we should go to in Dallas, we always are going to say Laurie for anything related to real estate and customer service, because she is the queen of hospitality. She knows how to grind for her clients without burning herself out, and really just bring this infectious energy to everything that she does. So today with Laurie, we're going to talk about how to create a raving fan culture, how to really lead with hospitality, and also we want to hit on the importance of taking care of yourself so you can keep bringing that energy to every deal, every client, every interaction that you make in business. With that said, Laurie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian and Lindsay, for having me. You two are my idols. You know, I'm almost a 60-year-old woman. And when I met you two, I just felt that from you, right? I felt that energy. I felt that passion. I think Conquer the Day could not be a better name for this, because I think that's what you two try to do. I think that's what I try to do. I think if people in life would just try to conquer each day, we don't have to conquer every day, but try to, how much better our lives would be. So I think you two are pretty awesome people too. Yeah.
Thank you, Laurie.
Well, it's a real joy to have you here, Laurie. And I wanted to kind of zoom out before we talk about the specifics of like where you're at today. And obviously you have a wealth of experience and knowledge and wisdom to share. But where did this all start? If you think of where you started to learn and discover customer service and creating let's say a hospital environment for your clients to really feel like they're getting taken care of, where did this all start and where did you learn the skill?
I love that question, Brian. Thank you. I will tell you this, as a little girl, my mom was the most hospitable person you know. And if somebody needed a house to live in, they lived with my mom. She's had people in and out of her house the whole life, my whole life. If we were in a show, if we were in a play, people all came over afterwards. And my mom, I'm like, Mom, can we have people over? Yep, I'll put the sloppy joes on. Blah, blah, blah. And she would get it ready. And soon enough, we would all be over there. She taught me people matter most. And she taught me to be kind and to love and to help people. And honestly, it just who I was. I am a Christian lady. I got saved when I was 7 years old. And I just decided at 7, truth, I just want to be like Jesus. I just want to live my life like he was and is, kind and loving and patient. Patience, I'm still working on. It's the one I don't do naturally, but all the rest I feel like I do naturally. That's just who I am. And so I started with that as a child and grew into that. I became a nurse, and I was a nurse for 20 years. I worked in the emergency room for 20 of those years, and I worked in the ER. And when I did, I also did trauma prevention for the county. I ran a children's advocacy center for children that were sexually abused for 4 years. And so I taught as well, be a voice for a child. So I worked with judges and prosecutors and the hospital and the firemen and the policemen and the schools and anybody who would listen to me. And I had big events, and I shared with people, go the speed limit, wear your seatbelt, don't drink and drive. and don't be distracted while you drive. And we actually reduced the fatality rate so much that I got to go to Hawaii and receive an award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
People, yeah, it's kind of cool. It was great, right? And I worked with the schools a lot and the young people on that. And then being a voice for a child, I was out there teaching people about awareness for helping kids that are being abused and how we can help them, right? By being an adult in their life that can help them. So even though I was a nurse and I was in the ER and I loved it, I also did other things, right, to help people. That's always been my passion.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
then I did go into sales, as you mentioned. I was a sales vice president about 11, 12 years. And during that time, I ran nationwide teams. You can check me out on LinkedIn. You can see everything I did. But we grew a lot and grew businesses. But one of my strengths was I had teams all across the country. And so if somebody in Florida came up with a great idea, I'm like, hey, California, try this. I told everybody, every benefit, every value, every good thing. And I think what happened with that is our clients, our customers, our patients in the hospital, they all got the best because I shared best practices, right? I am not the kind of person that believes in scarcity. I'm not. There's so many realtors and so many people that, I don't want to share my benefits because then somebody will take it away from me. Come on. There's abundancy out there. There's so many people we can help. And if we share, then people can help people and we can all get better and better and better. So my team's always benefited from that. And then I traveled a lot. When I was a sales vice president, I traveled 2, maybe 3 weeks out of every month. And so then I had the opportunity to become a realtor. And so 6 years ago, I put my head down and just joined a whole new organization, a whole new world. But I've always loved real estate. I've had the privilege and the opportunity to be in a lot of luxurious homes, from my brother's homes and houses I've lived in and things like that. And I just had a passion for that. I sell in every price point, but I really love luxury. And so I had an opportunity to join Dave Perry Miller Real Estate, which is in Dallas. And they're an amazing company that deals with a lot of luxurious home buyers and sellers. And it just was a fit for me. And now I don't have to travel. I get to stay home with Jim, my husband, and still get to do the most exceptional client care. And I love your word. I wrote it down, raving fan experience. The best compliment to me is when my clients say, this couldn't have gone better. Thank you for caring for me. I know we had some ups and downs here and there, but it was so good. And I tell my clients now, I'm like the pilot on an airplane. So we may have a little turbulence. There may be, in real estate, things come up and things go down, right? They do, but I'm going to land the plane. And I hope I land the plane with some champagne in your hand.
Yeah, well,
and bundt cakes.
Yeah, champagne and bundt cakes. That was well.
That's great.
And so the reason why we wanted to have you on too, because Lindsay and I, when we bought our first home, I think we went and saw almost something like 50 homes. Right, we were looking for a certain kind of home, a certain kind of opportunity, and you just kept showing up. And what was fascinating too is over the last 4 years, we've had a couple of real estate transactions, and we've got to see what happens when you don't work with Laurie McGuire. And so what I mean is, not necessarily this is a real estate podcast about you, but it was a clear contrast when someone was like, good people and they were doing the best they could, but it wasn't the same energy and excitement. And it wasn't treating the client as the most important piece. It was just, here's the best deal, best of luck. We don't really care. It's kind of like a half-assed effort to show the property or whatever, where every time you showed up, like, hey, this is great. Here's what I don't really like. You were engaged.
Yeah.
And so I would be curious, like, where did you learn that skill of like really immersing yourself inside the client journey and really looking at what was best for them?
Yeah, maybe where did you realize that was like so important? Because I know you've always been extroverted, and bringing energy to things is not necessary. It's like you said, it's kind of natural, but to be completely present and engaged, like you at some point have to learn or be rewarded for that engagement, right? So I would add that to that question as well. As like, where did you get rewarded for it?
Yeah, I like that. I think number one, people are the most important thing to me. They're the most important. I don't have to wonder about it. I could lose a deal for it. It doesn't matter. I had clients that came in this week to buy a house for up to 1.3 million. And I have been with them 2 times, other times, different months, to look at, oh, let's see if we want to live in Frisco Prosper. Okay. We saw a bunch of houses for 2 days that visit. Another visit, same thing. We went to Plano. We went to Allen. We went to those areas, 2 days full of. And then they decided, you know what? We want to live in Dallas. We want to live near our workplace, and this is what we're going to do. Great. So we were going to buy a house this week, and they got a call, and things changed with work, and they decided, well, we just have to do a lease now. And I'm like, okay, very different in my price point for my paycheck. Okay, very different. And this boss said, well, I don't think you should buy the house yet, because in a year things are going to change and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, your boss just changed my income for the month, and we laughed about it. But what did I do? I created a lease search. I put it together. I sent everything to them. And the next day, even though I had this big launch this week for my new listing, we went and saw 7 houses. And in the end, the night before, they had seen a for sale by owner they went by, and that particular house was the one they were thinking they were going to go with, and they called me, and I don't get any commission for that one. And so bottom line is, I put my heart and soul and a lot of work into those folks, and I wanted the best for them. But I told them, listen, it's okay. You're going to stay here for a year. You either stay in Dallas or you don't. And when it's time to buy a house, I hope you call me. I'll be your person. I didn't get mad at them. They did their best. They were authentic with me. I was authentic with them. I did the best I could do for them. And in the end, that's what happened. So I think when my intent is for people, truly for people, then I don't resent that. I think the other thing about me is I don't have any fear. I never had fear. I just don't have fear. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid. So a lot of people in real estate are afraid. Oh, what if I don't give a sale? What if I don't give a this? What if I don't? And they're all stressed out. I mean, I'm a high energy girl, but I'm not a high stress girl. And in the sense, I've also this year, honestly, and I know I'm throwing some layers in here, but I just gave it to God. I'm like, Lord, this is going to be, not Laurie's running the ship, because I'm a driver. I am a driver, and I'm going to keep driving my activities. But I'm like, Lord, you open the doors. You show me where you want me to go. You tell me what you want. The release of that is even beyond what I could ever imagine. And so without having fear, with focusing on people, and then this is the piece, I am a worker. You know this. I love a worker. I love to work. I mean, and so I am in Taekwondo. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt. I used to compete state and national level for 11 years. We had a phrase called Kuki, Ku-Ki. It's Korean, and it means conquer yourself, which how funny for this topic, conquer the day. Kuki is my mentality. And I didn't know that, but that's what they taught us in Taekwondo, was the phrase. I'm ready to do my best. I don't care about Susie or Johnny or Bobby. I want them to do well. I encourage growth. I encourage them. If somebody in my company or not in my company post a good sale or a good opportunity or good experience, great job, go for it. I truly care and want them to have success. It has nothing to do with my success. I want them to be successful, right? There's enough people out in the world for all of us. So when I get up without fear and I'm people oriented and I decide to do my very best, Kuki, whatever that is, then life is pretty good and I get great results. And Lindsay, you helped me with a tough time when I really, you guys were my coaches, and Lindsay, my brother had passed, and I was, for the first time in my life, depressed. Never been depressed in my life, never. And I was in a tough spot. And the first time we talked and I shared everything, and you went, that's okay. I'm like, what do you mean? It's not okay. This is not okay. And you're like, it's okay. It won't be like this forever. And it was instrumental to me to be able to go, ooh. And in fact, we talked about box breathing and learned all that and meditation and all that right at that moment, right? Yeah. And it helped me get through one of the toughest times in my life. And I mean tough. And, I was obviously with you guys for physical training and sports training, and I'd been an athlete my whole life. I still am an athlete. And yet I wasn't doing anything physical, but you started me with square one, which was breathe. And I started to breathe and to know I was okay. And I don't even know what to say. The wisdom you two have at your age is really, it's really remarkable. But I think it's because you seek the things I seek. You seek to do your best every day. You seek to put people first. You seek, to work hard and just give that. And I think because of that, you've learned so much. I'm probably double your age, but I needed you in that time and in that window, and the encouragement you guys gave me. We're on a group text and all that, and Facebook or whatever, and all these people are like, I ran 6 miles today, I whatever, and I'm like, well, I did my breathing, I did some yoga, and yeah, I meditated and I journaled a little bit, and I'm having a great day. This is a good thing,
Yeah.
and we grew from there. But anyway, so I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it's beautiful. Well,
No, it's good. It's good.
It's really
I-
kind of coming back because business is. So we spent the last year learning from Tony Robbins, and one of the things we did is we went to Business Mastery, and one of the things that he talks about is business is a spiritual game. So if your spirit is in the right place and you're focused on serving people, then you always win. It always comes back. And what you said
I
there
agree.
was, so just kind of tying it back for people, it's like, serve your customer more than everyone else. If you focus on serving your customer and really serving them, sometimes it's going to be not the best for you, but if you do that enough times, it does come back because they remember that. They remember that one time that you showed up and you were passionate about signing the lease you weren't going to get paid for, and they're more likely to refer you to that person. Right. So it is just keeping that mindset and that belief, but
and
I'll send it
it's
to you, Liz.
and it's the open hand as well. Like and I would be curious, this was not our direction we were planning to go, but I think this is a really interesting skill to talk about, or maybe it's more of a belief system than a skill. But how do you balance being ultra competitive, which you are, and aggressive, right? While also maintaining that open hand mentality, right? Of like give and take abundance, right?
I love that. I'm going to answer that, but I think I just had a little epiphany about you, Lindsay, and that was you met me where I was. I try to meet my clients where they are. So sometimes my clients are more able to adapt to stress. Buying and selling houses is personal and it's emotional. And there's some people that I think I go back to my ER skills, right? Is this an emergency? Is this an urgency? Or is this just fine? Right. And people could sit in the lobby for 2 weeks and be just fine. Right. And so some people, they got a knife in their chest. We better work on that right away. So I have a skill set for understanding emergent, urgent, and not emergent, but I also have a skill set for helping people see that, because sometimes in our mind, we feel like, oh my gosh, this is such a big deal. Not really. Not really. And there's a solution. Let me work on this. Let me help you with that. So I try to meet my clients where they are. When you met me where I was in the lowest part of my time, you helped to coach me and train me to get where I was better every day. And, I felt that, and then pretty soon I'm like, okay, I'm counting my calories. Okay, I'm getting my water in. Okay, I'm going for my walks. Okay, I did some weights. It just kept growing. But you didn't say, Laurie, I'm so disappointed in you. You're acting very negative and I need you to do more. No, that's not what you said, right? You gave me an okay sign and some skill sets. So I just wanted to add that you met me where I was. And I think I try to do that with my clients, So you talked about the competitive nature and the open hand. I've never really talked about it like open hand. I like that. I just feel that I'm competitive for my people. So if you're my client, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to build a relationship with the other agent. I'm going to work with the title office. I'm going to work with the lender. I'm going to fight for you. I'm a fighter for my people. But I'm not a fighter with my coworkers. I mean, I want them to do fantastic. I don't have any, because I think it's no fear, guys. And it's funny because this year I learned, I never knew this, I'm almost 60 here. The opposite of fear is faith. I never knew that, but I have utmost faith. I have childlike faith. I have faith. And so when you believe things are going to be okay, and you just step forward, it does. And so there was a quote, and I'll see if I can come up with this, and I've shared it with you both before, but it's whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, something, believe in and enthusiastically act upon is sure to come to pass. And so the short version for me is whatever you see, whatever you believe is possible, whatever you want, and whatever you're willing to get off the couch with a good attitude for, you can have. And
Mhm.
so I read that probably 6 years ago, and I'm like, but that's me. I have to see my vision, guys. I have to see where I want to be.
Mhm.
If I know where I want to be, then all my activities line up with that. And I obviously believe it's possible. I
Mhm.
do. I think it's possible and I want it. And I'm willing to get off the couch with a great attitude and work hard for it. So then I get it. You know,
Mm.
I just listed a $3.25 million house yesterday. And that's the highest listing I've ever had. I've sold,
Ah.
you know,
It's gorgeous. I
uh,
checked it out.
thank you. It's a beautiful home. And the bottom line is this. Some people were like, well, it's going to take a minute. You know, it's in 1921, Greek revival in downtown McKinney. It's going to take a minute, you know, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, listen, I only need one person. They could come today. I don't expect to wait forever. That isn't my expectation.
Mm.
And my expectation is today. So
Mhm.
yesterday we had an open house. We had one true buyer potential. Today I had an open house, 3 potential buyers. I think we're going to sell it very quickly. And so you have to think what you
Mm.
want first. You have to believe it. You have to see it. And then when you do that, your activities will come into play and your
Mm.
thinking will come into play. Your actions will come into play. Your responses will come into play. And then the result will come into play.
Yeah, where do you think people lose it? Like, what do you think? Because we logically can know that all day long, right? And I think anybody would be like, yes, absolutely, you're correct. But, and people will say, but where do you think people get lost in that?
Definitely they see it. Some might probably potentially believe it. They definitely want it. I want whatever. I see it and I want it. I want that Corvette, right? Whatever it is. But are they willing to get off the couch with a good attitude? Not just get off the couch. It says enthusiastically act upon. You have to be
Mhm.
enthusiastic. You have to be positive. Now, I'm a crazy enthusiastic person. I don't try to be like this. This is how God made me. It's not about just the energy. I am energetic. I am infectious, right? People don't forget me. It isn't about that. Everybody doesn't have to have my personality. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, do you have a good attitude and are you working? Did you get
Mm.
off the couch and do it? A lot of people want it, see it, even, you know, believe it's possible. You know, with physical fitness with me, these are things you guys have worked with me on. I was physical my whole life. I danced for 14 years. For 11 years, I went to the gym 4 nights a week and I was in 4 classes, like literally worked out till I threw up. Like I know what that means. Okay. But am I willing to get off the couch and do what I need to do every day, every
Mm.
week? I'm still working on that. And it's okay. I'm okay with that. But I want to be better and I want to be fit and I want to be healthy and I want to have the last years of my life, my decades of life, to be fit and strong and tone and energetic. So I'm still working on things too. I'm not perfect, sure, for
Mhm.
sure. I'm not perfect and I don't want anybody to think that. But your mind is a powerful thing. You know, I watched this thing and it was talking about your brain doesn't know the truth. You tell it this or you tell it that. You tell it positive or you tell it negative. It's going to listen. It doesn't
Mhm.
know the difference. So I just choose positive. I choose hope.
Mm.
I think a lot of people, the hope word is a very important word, Lindsay, to answer your question.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have hope. They
Yeah.
don't believe it. They
Mhm.
don't think it's possible. They don't have that support to get there. That's why coaching's so important, right?
Mhm.
Professional football players have coaches, right? Ballerinas have coaches. Musicians have coaches because we need to fine tune and keep
Mm.
going, go through the hard stuff, but still have hope, right? That we can do it. There's an
Yeah.
end to this. There's an
Well,
improvement.
it
It's
makes
a
me
very
think of
important point.
what we were talking on one of our group calls. And there was this lady on, she's like, I'm starting to push myself. I ran my first mile. She's doing all this wonderful stuff. And she's like, we were talking about how the language you speak impacts how you feel, right? So it's not just a positive thinking, hope it's for the best and BS yourself. It's actually understanding that there is a direct correlation with the way I speak over myself, with the things I speak over myself, and how I physically feel. And it's not
I love
necessarily
that.
And so it's not always that I have to be aspirational. If I'm really low, I might just be able to, again, meet myself where I'm at and just try to raise the bar by 1 bar, which is, oh, I'm feeling really depressed, but it's going to be okay. Right. That is still aspirationally raising the bar above where I'm at. But so she was on the call and she's like, man, like I've seen all these motivational quotes for, my whole life, but I just always kind of was like, yeah, that's kind of, it makes sense, but I never really engaged in it. And she's like, and I'm starting to actually understand how important it is. And what was fascinating is she kind of beat herself up a little bit. And she's like, I figured it out at 35. And I was like, well, at least you didn't figure it out at 60, right? Like, at least you figured it out now. But what I told her was, there's two things. The difference is you decided to make a conscious investment in yourself, not just financially, but energetically. You started to push yourself. You started to prioritize yourself. You're learning so many things about yourself. But the second part is you're also surrounding yourself with people who believe that it is true. And if these words weren't true, if your thoughts did not dictate the quality of your life, and if your emotions weren't something that you could control, we wouldn't be talking about them for thousands and thousands of years. Like these principles aren't just a conversation in 2024. They've been happening for thousands of years. And so it's so important that we do put ourselves in a position where there are people around us who want us to believe, because we might have a belief ourselves, but other people detract that belief, or they speak negatively over the belief.
So Brian, you talked about two very important things. Number one is who we surround ourselves matters. The five people we're around the most, or pay attention to the most, or focus on the most, will change our life, good or bad. And so you've got to be around positive people. My brother used to say, don't let people vomit in your ear. People that are vomiting in your ear are wasting your time, and it stinks. It's not going to help you. Get rid of bad people that are just blah, 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 or don't go to them for advice, right? So number one, who you surround yourself is important. When we wake up in the morning, I read my daily devotional every day. I turn on Christian music every day. I've got to get it right. I do a little bit of my gratitudes. That's the second thing. Gratitudes really make a difference. Are we thankful? Do we feel positive? Lord, thank you for a good night's sleep. Thank you for this opportunity. I have been burning the candle at both ends, frankly, for about 3 weeks. Burning the candle at both ends. But I'm like, thank you, Lord. I'm thankful I have business. I'm thankful I have this opportunity. I'm thankful I get to go help this person today. I am running on fumes, but I'm doing it, right? And really, the second thing I wanted to talk about was self-talk, or what do we call that? Self-talk.
Your internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue, your thoughts.
Well, I said the way you speak over yourself.
I know, but there's a phrase. It's what I was thinking of is positive affirmations. Positive affirmations matter. So I'll just say a few things like fake it till you make it, whatever. Think about it. When you guys go to lift heavy weights, Lindsay and Brian, I watch those videos, and you're about to lift something that's unbelievably heavy, but you're sitting there and you're having a dialogue with yourself. You're having a fake it till you make it. You're having a self-positive affirmation, and you're saying, you can do this. You got this. Remember this, remember that, keep your legs straight, whatever it is you say when you lift those kind of weights, and then you do it, or you don't, but you try. And so I believe, because I'm a positive person, I'm positive. If you think of a bell-shaped curve, right? Over here's very positive, over here's very negative. People are kind of in the middle. And if you lean towards the negative, it's tougher. I lean towards positive, but I do positive affirmations. I write with a dry erase marker on my mirror in my bathroom. People are like, Laurie, you surely do not need that, but I do. We all do, right? You're amazing. You're a closer. You care for your people. You're a wonderful wife. You're a great grandmother. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, we need to hear these things. And self-talk matters. I just told you, your brain doesn't know the difference. So go ahead and listen to that person saying negative, and your brain's going to believe it. I can't do that. There's no way I could, right? I had an agent once who wanted to sell luxury homes, and her managers told her, you need to sell about $200,000 homes. She came and worked with me at an open house for a $1.5 million house. I'm like, why? Why? You can sell $1.5 million houses. What are you talking about? Well, she no longer stayed with that person and she sells $1.5 million houses now.
Mm.
But she had to hear it.
Yes.
Somebody had to say you can, you
Yeah.
know? And
Mhm.
unfortunately, there's a lot of family things in the people raised, who their history is, spouses, past, relationships where people have shared with people negative stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, listen, you don't have to believe that. That's a false story. That's a false name. You're not a liar, a this, a that, a lazy person, a whatever. No. And maybe
Mhm.
that was a period in your time, but you have to write your own name. You have to write your own story. You have to say where you're going, and then you
Yeah.
can get there.
Yeah, I think that what's really interesting and powerful about what you're saying is this is also 40, 50 years of conditioning that you've put yourself through, and that even like you said, from the moment your mom started becoming a memory for you, right? You were conditioned for decades. So somebody might hear this and go, oh my goodness, this lady is bananas. She's intense.
I am
But
bananas.
it's but it's looking at you and seeing this aspirational figure of somebody who's been conditioning this for 50 years. This is where you are. But all of those principles, it's like even after 50 years, you said something so powerful, which is, I still need it. I still need it. You don't reach a pinnacle of positivity and then you're good. Like that's
And
not
I'll
how
tell
it
you
works.
something else, Lindsay. I've had a very tough life.
Yeah.
I was sexually abused as a child. My parents were divorced. I've had cancer. They told me you're going to live 2 years. And I'm here 16, 17 almost in August years later. I
Wow.
have been through hell in my life. There's so many things people don't know. But guess what? I choose. We all have a choice every day. That's my other hashtag. We all have a choice.
Yeah.
We always do. We all have a choice. We always do. So what are you going to do with it, right? We can't
Mhm.
always pick what happens to us in life, but we can pick how we respond to that.
Mhm.
We can choose how we respond to that. It's our choice. And so people think, oh, she's so happy and life's so easy for her and whatever. I mean, people have literally said to me, you and Jim have just been very lucky. And I'm like, we went to college, we worked hard, we still work hard. It's not, the harder we work, the luckier we get, right? I
Yeah.
mean, come on now, come on. And nobody
Mhm.
gave us anything. I'd love to have that rich relative give me something, right? It's not
Mhm.
happened, okay? My point to all that is, people
Mhm.
might look at me and say, well, she's so positive because XYZ. No, I'm positive because I choose life. I choose the good future. I choose for a tomorrow that I want to be in, right? The
Mhm.
things you guys post, I love all your stuff you post, but
Mhm.
the thing you want in the future depends on what you do today. Things like that
Yeah.
you guys post. The tomorrow you, the next year you matters with the decisions you're making about what you're eating and if you're doing fitness today, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, guys, I can approach that and listen to you guys and do it. And I'm thankful for your voice in my life. And it helps me. I'm just not at the epiphany of everything in my life. I'm not doing everything right. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you've got 100% and what you don't, guys. You just have to keep working at it. You just have
Mhm.
to keep trying, Cookie, to do your best, to do better
Mhm.
tomorrow than today.
And I
Love
think
that.
that's great. And I appreciate that. I think as we're coming, like leading a little bit into our last like points of conversation, how did you say that? Koki?
Cookie.
Cookie.
Like a cookie almost. Cookie.
Cookie. I think there's two things. I have a question for you, but before we go here, I'm going to try to keep it pinned in my brain so I don't forget. Cookie is a life's mission, is what I hear. It's not the expectation of let's figure out how to conquer yourself in this lifetime, in this decade, in this month. Yes, it's on a daily basis, like let's conquer today, let's conquer ourselves today. But like you said, you're not, sometimes you're just going to try and you're not going to, right? You're not going to hit your pinnacle. So if you can change your expectation of yourself, especially for somebody who's, for you listening, change the expectation of yourself that this is your life's mission, is to conquer yourself, because you're
That's
ever
right.
evolving, you're ever changing, you're ever flawed, you're a human. It's like, it's not this perfection that you're going to hit because you've hit monk status, right? It's really a lifelong pursuit.
And I'm just going to take that cookie really quick back to Taekwondo, where it came from. It's a Korean thinking in Taekwondo where we were competitive, ultra competitive. We went and kicked people in the head, punched people, kicked them, knocked them over, right? We were fighters, okay? And we wanted to win. But if I got the silver medal instead of the gold medal, but I did cookie, I did my best, then I was okay with silver. That was good. I want gold next time. I'm going for it. I want the gold, whatever I want. That's what I want. I'm going to try next time to get the gold. But I don't hate myself if I did my best. I think the other thing I have is no guilt. I have no guilt because I'm going to do my best. Now, I make mistakes, or sometimes I might say something to my husband. I'm a little harsher, not usually, but I do. I'm human, but I'm going to apologize for that, right? But I don't have guilt in life because I'm going to do my best. And if you do your best, guys, no matter what that is, instead of running a mile, you run a half mile. You ran. You got out there today. You moved.
Yeah, well, there's
Lindsay's
nothing.
word. Just moved.
Just moved.
Well, there's nothing worse than I don't think there's any worse feeling than wanting to win, not putting in the work, and then having to absorb that loss. Like just getting done. Like
That's hard.
You still you still showed up to the
You put
game.
in some effort.
You put in some effort, but you lost. Like because if I'm gonna lose, I want it to be because the person I'm competing against is just better, right? Because that's a sign that I can get better, right?
Agreed.
But if I lose because I didn't care enough, I just wasted my life. I just wasted my time.
I stayed up late. I was exhausted. I didn't go to practice just before. There's reasons, right? We all do make choices. We have choices. You didn't do those things. You didn't get what you wanted. Well, live with it because you didn't do your best.
Yep.
You didn't do your best.
But if you do your best,
honest.
and you really you still don't win, it's like, hey,
it's okay.
So it is,
okay.
but it is doing your best. It is like
even those people, right? Those people that came in to buy a house for 1.3 million. I did my best. So it's like, okay, well, things happen for a reason. And in a year from now, they're going to buy a house from me, right? It's going to happen.
What I was going to say is I did my first 100K, 62.5 mile race. And I completed it. So I got it done. And I was like, I'm going to do another 100K. And the one I did was in Tyler State Park in Texas. And it was like 8,000 feet of elevation. So it was just massive, massive hills. And it was like 90 degrees that day. And I crushed it, but like I crushed it. I was just dialed in and I was running.
Awesome.
I didn't have to stop at all these different things. But the point is, when it came time to meet, like you had to finish your laps in a certain amount of time to even qualify to complete the race. If not, they cut you off. You don't get anything. I was going up to the last loop that I needed to complete, and I still had 2 more. And I didn't make the time, needless to say. I didn't make the cutoff time. But we got done. I ran 50 miles, and there was only one other person who completed out of like 20 people. And I was like, man, I'm proud of how hard I worked today. Like, I know it's not perfect. I didn't achieve my outcome. But when I really look at all the races I've run, that was probably the most focused, the most disciplined. I just lost. And I can walk away from that and say, well, I learned a whole lot. So I just wanted to tie that down because
I love that, Brian. That's a great example of exactly how I feel when things happen like that. That's a perfect example.
Great. Yeah. Now to tie this all down, because the point I'm unpinning that I had pinned earlier in my brain was, I think that I have this hypothesis that I would be curious to hear your thoughts on. And I think that when you do have more positivity or energy around even the most stressful experiences, or you're gracious to yourself or you're kind to yourself, I think that those experiences require less energy from you. I think that when you are, and I mean, I don't even know how to describe it other than it doesn't suck the soul out of you. But when you experience the same challenging circumstances that are a pressure cooker, or things are not going well, or you're quote unquote losing, but you're absorbed into that loss and you're thinking about how much you are not doing and how you're failing and how nothing's going well. And my goodness, and you're very emotionally invested in those lows. I think that they
Yes.
tend to suck more energy from you, making it much harder to recover.
I
I'm-
think that is exactly what I've changed this year with letting God.
Mm,
And just, I believe in God. Not everybody does, but I do. And I just have turned the Laurie McGuire crazy machine driving force over to him. Now, do I still work like crazy and I'm all over the place and I'm doing things? You bet. I still make my list. I know what I'm doing. I'm driving my world. I'm having my best year ever. I do, but I take the heat off of me.
mm,
It's a lot to do with gratitude and thankfulness. I'll be honest.
mm,
I'm thankful and grateful for what I have. And even though, there's periods of real estate, guys, where you work. I don't get paid till we close. Okay. It's one of those businesses. You go see a doctor, you pay them. You go see an attorney, you pay them. You coach with you guys, you get paid. I don't get
mm,
paid till we close. So I work a year, 2 years, sometimes 6 months, very normal before I get a dollar. And so there's some times where I'm doing all the right things and I've showed everybody and I'm doing this and that and the other. It's not their timing or it's not the right house. It's just out of my control. Things I cannot control. And there's been different times where it gets frustrating. Like, can somebody sign on the dotted line, right? Please, please. I'm doing everything right here. But
Amen.
it just happens. It happens like that. And so, yes, I think there's some of that waxing and waning in life. And I think the more at peace we are with doing the right things, just keep it going. Try not to get, too frustrated or too emotional about it. You're going to do better. And when it doesn't suck the life out of you, you have more energy to do the next thing, do the next right thing. And if you're feeling frustrated, then it's more complaining or issues, or you sit there feeling sorry for yourself. I am just not a feel sorry for yourself girl. If I do, I tell everybody around me, you got like 5 minutes. Tell me why you feel sorry for yourself. Let's get a solution and let's move forward. I just can't sit in the mire. And that's probably maybe a little bit of a weakness of me. I'm not as good as you are, right? You're a great listener to that, but I am a solution oriented person and I don't want people to stay in the pain. So I've learned about grief though. You can't fight through grief. You can't push through grief. You've got to work through it. So I say that two-sided, but the bottom line is you can't stay in the mire. You'll never get out. You have to try to see the good,
Yeah. Yep. I
Love it.
totally agree. So my last question before we hit quick fire, because that's where we'll wrap up, is
Oh.
yes, we do the quick fire
Quick fire.
questions too.
I like it. I like it.
Before we do quick fire though, what advice would you give somebody who is genuinely struggling to balance work, family, and their own health and well-being? Because
Yeah.
you do this very well. I was telling Brian this, although you say I burn the candle at both ends, is intense. You are so good at prioritizing your people, like especially your family. And no matter how busy you get,
It's true.
it seems as though they are still on that list and your health is still on that list. So I would love to hear your thoughts on
I
that.
agree with that, Lindsay. I play hard and I work hard. So I think that is how I call it the balance. My husband and I, we take a lot of vacations. We take a lot of time to do whatever. We might say, let's shut down and we're just going to have the evening to ourselves, or let's take tomorrow off completely. I do put those things in there that, and I kind of share that in my social media too and get it out there. I think we have to have that balance in our life. There are seasons, right? When I have 5 houses closing in the next 2 weeks, and I have this new listing. And so there's seasons. We all have seasons, like when you launch a new launch or when you have things going on, right? But when I say that I've been burning the candle to both ends, it's just been this little window, right? Where I've gotten everything. But now, next week, the closings all start, right? It's going to be fabulous. A lot of good stuff's happening. But I really believe that you have to have balance, guys. You have to make a decision, right? I'm going to try to eat well. I'm going to try to make time for me to do some working out, right? Whatever that is to each person's different. I need to have personal time with my husband. And then, and certainly work is a part of that. Work, I don't have to think about. I've always got enough of that. I have to think about the other things, right? To put them in my life. But when I have that, when I go to church every Sunday, my clients know I'm not showing houses till after 10:30. I'm going to church every Sunday morning. That's it. And so that's a decision. It's in my calendar. I'm going. I think scheduling is a big piece, Lindsay, and you've kind of worked with me on that, right? It's in my schedule. I am going to do my morning routine, which is my get Laurie ready for the day and world, right? That's my turn on Christian music. I get my cup of coffee. I have my daily devotional. I write
You
my
and Lindsay.
gratitude.
I know.
Yeah.
I am you. You are me. I'm going to be you someday soon.
I love it. I love that. But I have to have that time, and then I can approach the world in a very positive way, you know?
Very
So
true.
there's things we all do that are different. I think everybody needs a morning routine. I think everybody needs that time, whatever it looks like to you. But I think it really helps me get ready to go. I believe in putting my list together the night before, the priorities at least. What has to happen tomorrow? And I always try to do the hard ones first. Get them off the
Yeah.
plate, then it gets easier through the day. But those are a couple things. I don't even
Yeah.
remember your question.
No,
How'd
that's
I do?
great. I
You
think
did
it,
good. You did good.
I think
I think that it was the advice to somebody who's struggling to balance. And what I hear
Yeah.
is be very
It's possible.
intentional. Be
Be
very
intentional.
intentional with the things that are out of balance right now. And don't
Yeah.
try to do everything all at once. Break it down to the
Yeah.
day, right? What is the little thing that you can
And like one
prioritize?
of the things you taught me was if you can just go walk in the neighborhood for 20 minutes, go speed walk with your weights. Do something, right? Get out there. And I think scheduling is a very big piece for me because I'm a busy lady. So when I block those things out, it gets done.
Yes. Amen.
This is full of gems. Laurie, you are
You are one gem.
a
Thanks, Jen.
gem, and this is I think a really positive conversation for anyone who's listening.
Agreed.
But I'd love to tie it down with just a few simple quick fire questions. First, what's a book that you feel like has influenced you the most or changed your life the most?
Woo. Wow, I read all the time. I love to read. I mean, I don't want to be too weird, but the Bible this year is something I have read more than I've ever read in my whole life. And so one of the things that I've done with it is I got this book that prompts daily devotionals. So it's a little paragraph and some verses, and then whatever's in there, I read those verses. It might be three different places in the Bible. It's a little bit, sometimes I'll read longer, but the life lessons and the things I've learned in there this recent time, I don't even know what to tell you, but how much I've loved it. It's really, really helping me. That's my first gut feeling. So that's what I
I
said.
love it.
I love
I
it.
read a lot.
What is one piece of wisdom you'd love to pass down to those younger generations?
Be kind to yourself, believe you can do it, and work hard.
Beautiful.
What's your 10 out of 10 like perfect day?
Wow, that's a great question, Brian. 10 out of 10. I've had a good night's sleep. I'm not my best without rest. I need rest. So when I wake up and I've had a good night's rest, I have a plan and I'm able to help people with work. I love to do a little social media motivational, inspirational something in the morning, right? Inspire somebody, and I get these things back. Oh, Laurie, I needed that today. Thank you so much. I really love that. That just fills my heart. I love that. And then get to have time with my husband. Maybe we make dinner together, go for a walk in the evening, do something like that. And then, you know, just relax in the evening with just mindlessness, whether that's reading a book. Sometimes we'll watch a movie together, American Idol, you know, something silly, something non-thinking really. And we just relax and then, you know, get to go to bed again, have a nice night's sleep. That really makes me happy.
Love that.
Beautiful. And last one, what is the one habit that you need in order to conquer your day?
One habit I don't have now, but I need.
No, just one that you have.
One that I
helps you
have.
conquer.
I think I'm just gonna have to say my morning routine. I know I've talked about that, but when I get up and I can have that quiet time and that happy time and that thoughtful time, and I don't know, I'm ready to go then after that. I can do it.
I
Love it.
resonate.
It helps
Beautiful.
me.
So, Laurie, where can people connect with you if they're looking to get involved in real estate? They're looking for maybe a home in Dallas or in Texas. I don't know if that's like you have the whole state to your advantage, I imagine. But where can people connect with you? How can they
I
build a
love it.
relationship with you?
I love it. On Instagram, shockingly, I'm called Excited Realtor. So on Instagram is one way. You can call me. I'll tell you my number, 817-681-1700. I'm certainly on LinkedIn, Laurie McGuire, spelled Laurie. McGuire is MCG. A lot of people put a Q there. It's MCGUIRE. And on Facebook, I post a lot. When you go to Facebook, you're going to see a lot about me. I'd love to help you with real estate. I definitely sell in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's where, mostly not Fort Worth, but Dallas up. I go from, Prosper all the way down, even on east of the 75. Call me. I can help you sell or buy a house. But if you need to sell or buy a house in the United States, please reach out to me anyway. We are part of the leading real estate agency, and I have people all over the United States, and I can connect you with somebody that's of quality that can help you, even just answer questions. So even if I can't help you personally, I'm glad to have you call, and I'll help you however I can.
Love it.
Thank you.
And we'll
So
make sure
good.
that's all in the show notes too.
It's all good. Well, thank you for joining us again, Laurie. Thank you for bringing all of your beautiful energy to our listeners and to us. It's been very
Well, I'll tell you what,
energizing.
God put us together for a reason, and it's been years now, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm so thankful for your hearts, for your minds, for your passion to help people, and you've helped me, and I know you help a lot of people. Don't stop. Keep going. It's really, really effective, and it's helpful.
Thank you, Laurie. I appreciate you.
It.
And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, share this with somebody who needs some positive energy, who needs some love, who needs even a little bit of a wake-up call. Give this podcast to somebody, send it over text right now, and then you can go out, use this information, and conquer your day.
Cheers.